"She's fatting," a guard shouted as he rushed down the silver hallway. The doors to the royal med chamber hissed open, and chaos exploded inside. Healers rushed around glowing consoles, their hands trembling as they tried to steady the young alien princess lying on a crystal bed. Her lavender skin had turned pale, her breathing thin like whispered wind. Her mother, the Empress of the Empire, stood frozen at her daughter's side. Her silver eyes, normally calm as starlight, now filled with raw fear. "Hold on, Liana, please," she breathed, her voice breaking. The machines around the princess beeped sharply. One screen flashed red. "Vital deterioration. Unknown cause, contact failure." The Empress clenched her fists. "Bring me another healer. Bring every healer in the palace." They have all tried, Your Majesty," the chief healer said with shaking hands. "Nothing works. Her body isn't responding to energy. It rejects our healing." "That is impossible," the Empress shouted. Her voice cracked in a way no one had ever heard. Nothing in the room changed. The princess still lay motionless, her small chest barely rising. Then the chamber doors slid open again, this time with no alarm, no rush, no command. A human man stepped inside. Elia's ward froze when he saw all eyes turned toward him. He looked awkward, out of place, and undeniably frightened. A simple earth-born man with rough hands and tired eyes, wearing nothing but a plain jacket and a satchel he never traveled without. He had never expected to stand inside an alien palace, let alone walk into their most sacred room, but fate never asked permission. "What happened?" he whispered softly. The Empress glared at him. "You were not summoned human." I heard shouting," Elia said, voice steady but gentle, "and I recognized it was about her." Everyone knew one truth. The alien princess trusted the human more than any other outsider. She always liked his calm voice, his jokes, his simple stories about Earth sunsets. She once said his presence felt like warm air in a cold room. But the Empress never understood why. Elia slowly approached the bed, stopping a respectful distance away. His eyes softened as he looked down at Liana. She looked so fragile, so small, so unlike the bright, curious being who once followed him around asking endless questions about humans. "What did they do to you?" Elias whispered. "Stay back," one guard threatened, stepping in front of him. "Let him close," the princess's brother, the crown prince, said suddenly. The room fell silent. The prince's violet eyes were tired, yet full of strange hope. "We have tried everything. Nothing worked. Let him come closer." The Empress inhaled sharply. "You want me to trust a human with her life?" "No," he said softly. "I want you to trust that she trusted him." The Empress didn't respond. Her jaw tightened, but she stepped aside. Elias approached the princess again, slowly, carefully. He reached out a trembling hand, then pulled it back. "What if I make it worse?" he whispered. The chief healer checked the monitors again. "Her vitals, they are dropping faster now." The Empress shut her eyes. Elias took a shaky breath and whispered so softly only Liana could hear. "I'm right here, I won't leave you." Then he gently placed his hand over hers. The room itself seemed to stop breathing. For a moment, nothing. Then a soft, glowing pulse spread from where Elias touched her. Not bright, not powerful, just warm. A warmth so gentle it felt like sunlight slipping through curtains. The machines beeped once, confused. Then again, steady. The red warnings flickered. The princess's fingers twitched. What just happened?" the chief healer gasped. "Her aura," another healer whispered. "It responded, it synced." The Empress stepped forward, eyes wide. "It cannot be," she whispered. "Healing requires emotional resonance. Only our kind can create it, only." The princess's eyes fluttered. Everyone froze. Liana opened her gaze just enough to see the world, and the first thing she saw was him. "Elias." Her voice was thin, weak, but alive. The Empress pressed a trembling hand over her mouth. The prince stepped back in disbelief. Elias held Liana's hand with both of his now. It's okay, I'm here, you're safe. Her breathing steadied. Her skin warmed. The monitors returned to yellow. The healers looked at each other, stunned. The Empress whispered, almost afraid of her own words. Human touch healed her. Elias didn't hear them. He only looked at Liana, tears gathering in his eyes. She whispered faintly, "Don't let go." "I won't," he promised. Behind him, the royal family watched in shock, because in that single moment, one truth became clear. No alien technology, no royal power, no ancient healing had saved the princess. Only a human. Only a touch. And none of them knew why. For several long minutes, no one spoke. The chamber was silent except for the steady heartbeat on the monitors and the soft hum of machines trying to understand what had just happened. Princess Liana lay still, her fragile breaths no longer fading, her hand wrapped in Elia's like it was the only anchor keeping her in the world. The Empress stepped closer, her voice trembled with disbelief. "Human, what did you do to my daughter?" Elia swallowed. "I don't know, I swear, I just held her hand." The chief healer shook his head rapidly. "Impossible. Her body rejected every healing method we used. Energy works through emotional bonds, shared memories, shared heart waves. Humans cannot create resonance. Humans do not even possess the correct neural frequency." The princess's brother, Prince, frowned. "Yet the readings are clear. Something reacted, something alive." Elias didn't look at the healers. His eyes stayed on Liana, afraid she might slip away if he blinked. Liana's voice was weak but warm. "He's always warm." The Empress turned sharply. "My child, speak carefully. You must not exert yourself." Liana still managed a tiny smile. "Mother, it didn't hurt when he touched me." Elias felt his chest tighten. "Liana, I'm so sorry. I should come sooner." The Empress bristled. "You speak as if you had a right to be involved." Elias lowered his eyes. "I know, I'm not part of your family, I'm not even part of your world, but she's my friend." "A friend," the Empress repeated softly, no anger this time, only confusion. "The bond between you two feels deeper than that." Liana squeezed his hand lightly, her energy flickering like a soft candle. "He didn't treat me like a princess, that's why." She closed her eyes again, resting. Stepped forward and looked Elias up and down, studying him the way a scientist examined something newly discovered. "What is it about you," the prince murmured, "that her body recognizes?" One healer tapped rapidly on a glowing console. "Your Majesty, new readings. Her life force is stabilizing, but the energy is unfamiliar." "Unfamiliar how?" demanded. "It is not pure energy," the healer answered. "It is mixed with something else, something human." The Empress stiffened. "Human energy? Humans have no energy fields." "Correct," the healer whispered, "but something like a field is forming." Elia stepped back slightly. "I don't understand any of this." His expression softened. "Perhaps your people do not measure yourselves the way we measure each other." The Empress finally looked Elias in the eye, not with anger, but with a quiet storm of fear and hope. "Humans, stay by her side," she said reluctantly. "If your presence keeps her alive, then you do not leave this room." Elias blinked. "Of course, I'll stay as long as she needs." The Empress turned away, quickly, so no one saw the tears she wiped from her cheek. Hours passed. Elias sat beside Liana's bed, his fingers still gently wrapped around hers. Her breathing grew deeper, calmer. Her color returned slowly like dawn coming after a long, cold night. At one point, Liana whispered, "Elias, tell me a story." His chest ached. "You need rest." "Please." He sighed softly and began talking, the way he used to when she wandered the gardens with him back, when she first met a human for the very first time. He told her about earth storms, the way rain smelled on concrete, how children ran barefoot through puddles. He told her about the little bookstore he used to visit after work, the place where he first learned alien languages because he thought the symbols looked pretty. Her breathing grew steadier with every word. Watched from the corner, his arms crossed, he whispered to a healer, It is as if her life force responds to his voice. The healer nodded. Her pulse strengthens whenever he speaks. And yet, not everyone in the palace was convinced. A tall figure entered quietly, the High Marshal of the Guard, armor gleaming dark blue under the chamber lights. "This is unacceptable," he growled. "A human interfering with royal healing, it breaks protocol, it risks the throne." Elia stiffened, but kept holding Liana's hand. Glared at the Marshal. Protocol failed her, he didn't. The Marshal stepped forward, towering over Elia's. "You are a stranger, an outsider. You could be harming her without knowing it." Elias met his gaze, voice calm but firm. "If I let go, she weakens. You've seen it." The Marshal's jaw tightened. "That may be a trick, biological, chemical, intentional or not." Stepped between them. "Stand down, Marshal." The Marshal hesitated. "If her condition changes for the worse, I will remove him." Elias didn't react. He looked back at Liana because her fingers tightened around his again. "Don't fight," she whispered. "Just stay." Elias smiled sadly. "I'm not going anywhere." Behind him, the Empress whispered too. "No one expected this. A human healing a princess, it defies everything we know." Nodded slowly. "But maybe," he said, eyes fixed on Elias. "It is time we learn something new." The palace med-chamber glowed softly under night cycle lights. Outside the tall windows, the twin moons have drifted across the sky, casting gentle silver patterns on the floor. Princess Liana slept peacefully now, her breathing steady, her color returning bit by bit. Elias sat beside her, still holding her hand. He hadn't moved for hours, afraid even a moment away might make her slip again. But the calm in the room did not reflect the storm gathering outside. Nobles filled the hallway, whispering in urgent, frightened tones. "A human healing the princess? It shouldn't be possible. What if it's some kind of manipulation? Should the Empress allow it?" Fear moved through the palace like cold wind. Inside the chamber, stood by the window, thinking deeply. The Empress paced slowly, her robe trailing behind her like a worried comet tail. Finally, she stopped and turned to the chief healer. "Explain it again." The healer bowed. "Your Majesty, our readings show that the human's presence created a resonance wave strong enough to stabilize her life force. Without him, the resonance weakens." The Empress frowned. "But resonance requires emotional attunement. It requires deep connection." Glanced at Elias. "Perhaps they share one." The Empress hesitated. Her voice softened just a little. "But how could a human bind with a heart?" No one had an answer. Liana stirred lightly, her fingers brushing against Elias. He leaned close immediately. "Hey, you awake?" he whispered. Her eyes opened, slow and gentle. "Still here?" "Of course." She smiled weakly. "You look tired." "You scared me half to death," he said softly. "I'm allowed to look tired." Her eyes glimmered with warmth, even in her fragile state. "I didn't want to leave, not yet." The Empress approached the bed, her voice careful. "Liana, child, can you tell us what you felt when he touched you?" Liana blinked slowly, gathering her strength. "Warmth, like when sunlight hits your skin after cold rain, and something familiar." "Familiar?" asked. She nodded faintly. "When humans speak, when they laugh, there's something alive inside their words. I always felt it with him, a calm warmth." She turned to Elias. "You always made me feel safe." Elias' chest tightened. He didn't know how to respond. "Liana, I'm just one person. I didn't do anything special." "No," she whispered. "You were kind, that's rare." The Empress looked at Elias with a new, unreadable gaze. No longer purely suspicious, no longer entirely fearful. But before anything more could be said, the med-chamber doors burst open. The High Marshal stormed inside, flanked by 2 armored guards. His voice boomed like thunder across the room. "This has gone on long enough." Elia stiffened, instinctively moving closer to Liana. The Empress turned sharply. "Marshal, you enter without permission." I enter because your daughter's life is at risk, he pointed at Elia's, and the human is the risk. Stepped forward, you have no evidence of that. The marshal glared at Elia's. No evidence or no proof yet. Humans are unpredictable. His presence might be poisoning her aura. What if his healing is only temporary? What if she collapses again because of him? Elias clenched his teeth but said nothing. The marshal continued, voice rising. What if this is a trap, a hidden human ability to control our people, to influence royal minds, to... Stop, Liana's voice cut through the room like a soft blade. Everyone froze. She pushed herself upright, trembling but determined. Elia steadied her quickly. Her eyes locked on the marshal. He didn't hurt me, he saved me. The marshal bowed, but his tone remained hard. Princess, with respect, you are too weak to judge this clearly. Liana's voice rose, sharp for the first time. I said he saved me. The energy monitors flickered at her emotional spike. Elias whispered urgently, Liana, don't push yourself. She gripped his hand. I won't sit here while they treat you like a danger. The Empress stepped closer, her expression torn. Liana, we just want to understand. And I'm telling you, Liana said, breathing harder, that he gives me strength. When he holds my hand, my heartbeat steadies. When he talks, I feel calm. I feel alive. Looked at the marshal. That sounds like clarity to me. The marshal's jaw tightened. Her clarity is emotional. I need facts. Elia stood slowly, one hand still holding Liana's. His voice was quiet but strong. Then test me. Everyone looked at him. Elias continued, if you think I'm dangerous, check anything you want. Scan me. Monitor me, study me. I have nothing to hide, just let me stay with her. The Empress watched him closely, reading every word, every breath. Finally, she spoke. Very well. The marshal blinked. Your Majesty. Silence, she commanded. Her eyes stayed on Elia's. We will test you, and until we understand what bond exists between you and my daughter, you will not leave this palace. Elias nodded. As long as Liana is safe, I'll do whatever you ask. Liana smiled faintly, leaning against him for support. The Empress whispered, almost to herself. No one expected this. No one expected a human touch to save her. Nodded slowly. And now, he said, we must find out why. By morning cycle, the palace buzzed like a disturbed beehive. Rumors spread across every shining corridor, every glass balcony, every whispering garden. Human energy saved the princess. No, it must be a trick. Maybe the human carries some unknown ability. Or maybe the princess has changed. Every noble had an opinion. Every guard watched Elias with silent suspicion as he walked beside the royal healers toward the testing chamber. Princess Liana wanted to come with him, but she was still too weak to stand. Elias had convinced her to rest, even though letting go of her hand had felt like tearing off a piece of himself. Now he walked alone. Or at least he thought he did. Walked beside him, tall and regal, though much calmer than last night. He studied Elias with curious eyes. You aren't afraid? Finally asked. Elias shrugged weakly. I'm terrified. Blinked, you do not act terrified. That's because fear doesn't matter, Elias said simply. Liana matters more. The prince was silent for a long moment. Then he said gently, you care deeply for her. Elias looked down at the floor. She's my friend, someone who believes in me. Not many people do. Placed a hand on his shoulder. She sees goodness in you, that is rare. Elias gave him a small smile. I just want her safe. Nodded, then we will discover the truth together. The testing chamber doors slid open, revealing a circular room filled with silver arcs, glowing crystals, and monitors displaying shifting patterns of alien symbols. The marshal stood inside already, arms crossed, impatience sharp in his eyes. Good, he said. Let's begin. Elias stepped into the center platform. A soft blue light surrounded him. The chief healer activated the scanning sequence. Remain calm, human. This will not harm you. The blue light expanded, then split into tiny ribbons of energy that scanned every inch of his body. Elias flinched once, then forced himself to stay still. The healers murmured among themselves, watching the monitors. Leaned forward. What do you see? The healer frowned, confused. His biology is normal, fully human, no markers, no foreign energy readings. The marshal growled, there must be something. Another healer checked the results. All systems show the same reading, normal human physiology. The marshal slammed his fist against a console. Then how did he cause resonance? The healers exchanged hesitant glances. Finally, one spoke. Perhaps the question is not what he did, but what the princess felt. Narrowed his eyes. Explain. She responded to his touch. This is undeniable. Her aura synchronized. But synchronization requires emotional openness from both sides. Her heart may have reached toward him first. The marshal scoffed. Are you saying the princess bonded with a human? It is possible, the healer said quietly. Elias froze. Bonded, what does that mean? Answered gently. Bonds are rare. They form when deep emotional trust exists. Sometimes it happens once in a lifetime, sometimes never. Elias' throat tightened, but she never said. The healer interrupted softly. She may not even know. Bonds often form in moments of vulnerability, pain, or strong connection. Elias stared at the floor, overwhelmed. I didn't mean to do anything wrong. Placed a hand over his chest. You didn't. Sometimes bonds choose us. The marshal stepped closer, eyes burning. And what of the danger this creates? A bond between a human and the royal heir could affect decisions, emotions, even foreign relations. Frowned, I think you are forgetting something. And what is that? The marshal snapped. Pointed toward the hallway where Liana rested. She is alive because of him. Whatever this bond is, it saved her. Elia spoke hesitantly. If the bond is real, does it mean I'm tied to her forever? The room fell silent. The healer spoke quietly. Not forever, but as long as the bond remains strong, your presence will affect her health, emotions, and energy balance. The marshal growled. Unacceptable. What if his death endangers her? What if his emotions harm her? What if? Enough, the Empress said sharply, entering the room. Everyone bowed instantly. Her gaze went straight to Elia's. He felt small under her eyes, smaller than ever before. She walked toward him slowly. I did not expect a human to become part of my daughter's life force, yet here we stand. Elias swallowed hard. Your Majesty, I swear, I never tried to form anything. I didn't even know it was possible. I believe you, she said quietly. Everyone froze. Even the marshal looked shocked. The Empress continued. But belief does not mean trust, and trust must be earned. Elias nodded. I understand. The Empress took a deep breath. So I will give you a task. He lifted his eyes. A task. Yes, she said. If this bond is real, then show me your heart is just as strong. Elias frowned. What must I do? The Empress stepped back, eyes hard but hopeful. You will enter the heart prism, she said. A test of truth, fear, and emotion. If your intentions are pure, it will reveal it, if not. Her words hung like a blade in the air. Inhaled sharply. Mother, that test is dangerous. The Empress didn't look away. For my daughter's life, I will accept nothing less. Elias closed his eyes for one moment. Then he nodded. I'll do it. And far away in her room, Princess Liana whispered in her sleep. Elias, please come back. The heart prism chamber was not a place meant for humans. Even avoided it unless absolutely necessary. The corridor leading to it pulsed with dim violet light, and the air grew colder with each step Elias took. 2 guards escorted him, though he didn't need pushing. He walked willingly, knowing this test would decide whether he was allowed to stay by Liana's side or be torn away forever. Inside the chamber, the walls glowed like living crystal. The floor reflected Elia's footsteps in soft ripples of light. It felt less like a room and more like stepping inside someone's dream. The Empress, the High Marshal, and the palace healers watched from a balcony above, their faces unreadable. Elia's heart pounded. He had never been this scared, not even during the darkest moments of his life back on Earth. But he remembered Liana lying weak and pale, fatting in front of him, and that memory pushed away every fear except the fear of losing her. The Empress raised her hand. Human, the heart prism will sense your truth. It will show your deepest emotions. If your heart is unstable or harmful, the prism will reject you. Elias took a breath and nodded. I understand. Leaned forward slightly. Remember who you are, hold that in your mind. The Marshal's voice was sharp. If he fails, we remove him from the palace immediately. Elias stepped onto the central platform. Crystals around the room lit up in an instant. A hum filled the air, vibrating through his bones. The platform shifted gently, and a growing beam of white-blue light surrounded him like a column. The chief healer spoke quietly. It has begun. The light tightened around Elias' body, soft at first, then growing warmer. It seeped into his skin as if reading his memories. Elias clenched his fists, forcing himself to remain calm. But soon the light changed, swirling with faint images, shadows from his past. He saw himself as a child, sitting alone during school lunch, no friends nearby. He saw the nights he cried quietly in bed after arguments at home. He saw his first year in the alien exchange program, feeling small and unimportant, mocked for being human among extraordinary beings. The prism exposed everything. The lights intensified, showing scenes he wished to forget. Moments when he felt worthless, moments when he failed people, moments when he thought he had nothing to offer anyone. His breathing grew shaky. Up on the balcony whispered, "It's showing his pain." The Empress watched carefully. Pain alone does not decide worth. Then the light shifted again, revealing what lay deeper, Liana. A memory unfolded, Liana sitting beside him in the palace garden, laughing at a joke he told. Her eyes bright and curious. The day she told him humans were strange, but in a beautiful way. The moment she admitted that talking to him made her feel free. Warmth spread through Elia's chest. The prism responded, the light turning gold around him. But suddenly the chamber shook. The gold light twisted with streaks of dark violet signaling conflict. The prism was detecting something unstable, fear. Elias' worst fear rising in front of him, losing Liana. He saw her lying still, monitors fatting, her hand slipping from his. He saw himself being dragged away by guards while she reached for him with weak fingers. He saw the Empress forbidding him from ever seeing her again. He saw Liana's eyes losing their light forever. The images tore at him. Elias fell to his knees, shaking. "Stop, please." The prism did not stop. It pushed harder, showing him every version of failure, every outcome where he wasn't enough to save her. Up above stood suddenly. "This test is too harsh. He's human. His mind is not built for this." The Marshal grabbed his arm. If his bond with the princess is truly strong, he will survive. The Empress raised a hand. Let him choose his truth. Inside the prism, Elias forced himself to breathe. He pressed a hand over his heart, tears forming in his eyes. His voice came out cracked but determined. "I know I'm scared. I know I'm not strong like her people. I know I make mistakes." The prism's violet light swirled violently, echoing his confession. "But I care for her. I want her safe. I want her happy. I want her to live." His voice grew firmer with every word. "My fear doesn't mean my heart is weak. It means she matters." The golden light surged again, overpowering the darkness. The prism responded to his determination, glowing brighter and brighter until the entire chamber lit like a rising sun. Then the beam vanished. Elias collapsed forward, panting hard. The room fell silent. The chief healer checked the readings, eyes wide. "Your Majesty," the prism accepted him. The Marshal stared in disbelief. "Impossible." Exhaled, relieved, he passed. The Empress looked down at Elias, broken, exhausted, vulnerable, yet shining with truth. "Bring him to my daughter," she said softly. He has earned the right. Far away, in her recovery chamber, Princess Liana opened her eyes as if she knew instinctively. She whispered with trembling lips, "Elias, he's coming back." Elias' legs felt weak as he walked through the palace corridors. Two healers supported him, but he barely noticed. His mind felt heavy, like the prism had pulled every memory out of him and then squeezed his heart before giving it back. Even breathing felt strange, as if his chest hadn't quite recovered. But the moment he saw the doors to Liana's room, something inside him steadied. "Push the doors open softly. Go," he said. "She's awake." Elia stepped inside. Princess Liana sat upright in her bed, pale but alive, her silver eyes shining the moment she saw him. Her breath caught in her throat. "Elias," her voice broke, filled with relief and something deeper. He moved to her side, and she reached for him instantly. Their hands met with a quiet, trembling touch, like two halves finding each other again after being torn apart. "You're here," she whispered. "Always," he replied, his voice soft but full of truth. For a long moment, they simply held hands, letting silence speak where words failed. Elias could feel warmth flowing from her fingers into his own, the same warmth that had saved her life when everything seemed lost. The Empress and the High Marshal entered quietly, watching the scene unfold. Even the Marshal's expression softened when he saw the princess's strength returning. Liana looked up at them, not letting go of Elias' hand. "What happened? Why does he look like he walked through a storm?" His expression tightened, because he did. The Empress stepped closer. "My daughter, the human passed the heart prism test. It revealed his intentions, his fears, and his truth." Liana's eyes widened with worry. "You put him in the prism? That test can harm even our own people." Elia squeezed her hand gently. "It's okay. I did it because I wanted them to trust me. I wanted you safe." Her eyes filled with emotion. "You could have died." He gave a tired smile, "But I didn't." Tears welled up in her eyes. "I don't want you hurt for my sake." Elias brushed his thumb lightly across her knuckles. "You're not the reason. You're the reason I keep going." The room fell silent. The Empress studied Elias carefully, seeing more in his expression than any scan could reveal. Strength, fear, devotion, humanity raw and unpolished but powerful. Finally, she spoke. "My daughter, the resonance between you and this human is no longer a mystery. The heart prism confirms it. A bond exists." Liana blinked. "A bond with him." The Empress nodded slowly. "One created instinctively. It formed when your life force began to collapse. When he touched you, his emotions reached you and yours reached back." Liana's hand trembled in his. "Elias, did you know?" He shook his head. "I had no idea. I just didn't want to lose you." Liana looked down, her cheeks warming. "I felt something when you held me, like I wasn't alone." The Marshal stepped forward, his tone gentler than before. "Princess, such a bond can be dangerous if not understood. It means your health may be influenced by him and his by you." Liana looked frightened for the first time. "What do we do?" Answered softly, "We learn together." The Empress nodded. "For now, one thing is clear, the human stays." Liana exhaled in relief. Elias felt tension leave his body so suddenly he almost swayed. "Thank you," he said. But the Empress raised a finger. "He stays under royal protection and royal watch. If he harms you, intentionally or not, I will act." Elias bowed his head. "I understand." Liana frowned at the harshness, but Elias squeezed her hand again, calming her. The Empress turned to leave, but before she reached the door, she paused and spoke without looking back. "Human, when the prism revealed your truth, it showed something unexpected." Elias looked up. "What did it show?" She turned her head slightly. "Your heart carried more fear for my daughter's safety than for your own." Liana's breath caught. Elias went quiet. The Empress finished softly. "That is rare, even among my own people." When the royals exited, silence filled the room again. Liana leaned her head gently against Elia's shoulder. "You didn't have to do all of this." Elias looked at her, exhaustion and emotion swirling beneath his eyes. I know, but I wanted to, not because someone asked, but because it's you. Her fingers wrapped tightly around his. Elias, I don't know what this bond means yet, but I know one thing. He turned to her. What's that? She met his eyes, voice trembling but steady. I don't want my life without you in it. Elias felt his heart stop, for one long, breathtaking moment. Then it beat stronger than ever. Outside the room, unseen by them, the Empress listened quietly from behind the door. And for the first time since the crisis began, she allowed herself to hope. The palace hall was silent, not the silence of fear or shock or anger. This time it was the silence of thousands holding their breath. Outside the wide crystal windows, the alien capital glowed with warm silver lights. People from every region had gathered. Screens hovered in the air, showing the moment everyone had waited for. Stood at the center of the hall, his hands folded behind him. He looked calm, but his heart was running fast. All around him, royal guards watched with shining eyes. The nobles stared with disbelief. And on the high throne, the king and queen sat side by side, their hands tightly clasped. In front of them, Princess Lyra slowly walked forward. She looked stronger than ever. Her skin shimmered softly, her steps steady, her breath calm. She was no longer the weak girl who could barely lift her head. She had grown into someone who carried grace, courage, and the weight of two worlds on her shoulders. And she was alive because of one human. When she reached, she stopped, her bright violet eyes filled with emotion. Are you ready? She whispered. Nodded, if you are. A gentle smile touched her face. I've been ready since the day you held my hand. The hall erupted with soft murmurs. Some nobles frowned, others smiled. Many simply watched with awe. The queen rose from her throne, her powerful wings unfurled halfway, a sign of respect. My daughter, she said, her voice trembling. You stand before us stronger than ever, and today your courage brings a new dawn. The king stepped forward too, placing a hand on his daughter's shoulder. But his eyes were on. Human, he said slowly, you changed what we thought we knew. We believed strength lived only in power, in battle and might. But you brought a strength we could not see, a strength we could not measure. Swallowed, he bowed his head. I only wanted to help her. Yet you did more than help, the king replied. You healed her, you brought her back to us. You united what has been separated for centuries. Then he looked toward the crowd. We once believed humans were weak, fragile, temporary. His voice filled the hall like rolling thunder. But today we stand corrected. Princess Lyra reached for his hand, openly, confidently, and laced her fingers with his. A gasp rose from the audience. Felt warmth fill his chest. It wasn't the healing surge he once felt. It was something deeper, something human. The queen's eyes softened. Our daughter has chosen, she said, and we will honor her choice. The hall lights dimmed. A glowing beam surrounded and Lyra, swirling with soft gold and violet light. This was the ancient ritual, one reserved for those who formed a life bond. It had never been performed with a human before. Lyra squeezed his hand. Don't be scared, she whispered. I'm not, whispered back. The beam wrapped around them, warm and gentle. It reflected every moment they had shared, fear, sorrow, hope, and the spark that had grown between them. The crowd watched in perfect silence. When the light faded, felt different, not alien, not changed physically, but accepted, welcomed, recognized by an entire people who had doubted him. The king stepped forward again and lifted his hand in declaration. From this day, he announced, of Earth is protector, ally, and family to the royal house. And let it be known, his touch saved our princess when nothing else could. The hall exploded in cheers. Some cried, some shouted words of joy. Many bowed deeply, offering respect they had never before given to a human. His eyes stung. He had never asked for honor. He had never imagined being part of something this big. He only wanted to keep Princess Lyra alive, but now he had become the bridge between their worlds. Princess Lyra leaned close, her forehead gently touching his. Thank you, she whispered, for believing in me, for staying, for giving me something no medicine ever could. Smiled softly. Thank you for trusting me." A final wave of cheers filled the hall. And as the world celebrated, and Lyra stood together, no longer healer and patient, no longer human and alien princess, but two souls whose bond had rewritten history. For the first time, the galaxy saw the true meaning of human strength. Not power, not weapons, not force, but touch, hope, connection, the kind of strength that heals. And no one, no king, no queen, no world would ever forget it.